You're just in time for the Bible Answer Man broadcast with Hank Hanegraaff, the radio outreach of the Christian Research Institute. Our purpose here at CRI is to equip Christians to provide biblical answers to life's most important questions, to read the Bible for all it's worth, and counter the teachings of cults and world religions that deviate from the plumb line of God's Word, because life and truth matter. For more information, to order resources or donate, call 888-7000-CRI or go online to equip.org. That's equip.org. The following program was pre-recorded. Now here's the president of the Christian Research Institute, Hank Hanegraaff.
Thank you very much, Randy. We'll go to your calls. First up today, Chris in Lincoln, Nebraska. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Hank. I was just driving my car when I heard you on the radio, and I'm an atheist myself, and I have a question for you, not necessarily about anything Bible-related, but can you speak for a moment about the divisive nature of religion in our world, and maybe what remedies would you see fit to, maybe bring people together?
Well, yeah, a couple of things I would say is that atheism, as you probably well know, has been responsible for more carnage and death in the 20th and 21st century than any religion or all religion combined. So I think what's really important is that we recognize that we are created in the imago Dei, in the image of God. And if that is true, then we treat other people with great deference and with great respect because they are fellow creatures made in the very image of God. If you look at what you get when you have a barbarian empire, you find that people are treated not with dignity, but with disdain. Reason without revelation is what led scientists to postulate that blacks are inferior to whites and women are inferior to men, but never reason informed by revelation. And that's what we're talking about as Christians. I can't speak for world religions, but I can speak for Christians. Christians know that we are created in the image of God, and at the foot of the cross, there is no distinction between male and female. We love and we reach out and help one another as opposed to hurting one another. So Christianity is not a bane in the world, it is a blessing to the world.
Right. Well, what about political issues that seem to be a hot topic in today's political discourse? Things such as scientific evolution, this theory that I heard you talking about. I mean, it just seems to me that religion serves as like a point of division in a lot of people's lives. And I mean, when you're talking about atheist regimes in the 21st century or the 20th century,
both.
I mean, I don't know necessarily. I just wanted to hear your answer on this. I can't really get behind any of what you said because I've seen Christians in my life, and I mean they're great people. And I'm not dispelling Christianity as being like an evil empire or anything, but I mean we have some big problems in this world, and I just think that if we could come together behind something else, it might make things better.
Well, and all of that is great for wishful thinking, but ideas have consequences, and that's the point that I'm making.
Yeah, but I don't think that as an atheist. I mean, you can value people just as much as you can with any worldview. I mean, I don't think I devalue people's lives just because I don't believe in an afterlife or I don't believe we were created by a Christian God. I mean, the golden rule still applies whether you're an atheist or you follow any religion. I mean, you treat people the way you'd like to be treated.
Well, but again, the point that I'm making is that at one time in mid-20th century, one half of the human race was subject to a grand experience. And that's why I say ideas have consequences.
Those were political ideas as well. They weren't just merely a product of atheist rulers.
But,
all right,
well, they were. I mean, look at Mao and the Cultural Revolution, where he said we will create a new heaven and a new earth. 20 million died of famine, 20 million more in Chinese re-education camps. Or think of Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge, where you lose virtually in a very short period of time, I think it was about 3.5 years, you lose a quarter of the Cambodian population. Stalin.
Are terrible. I'm not disagreeing with that.
But these are atheistic regimes, and I'm simply pointing out ideas have consequences, and the evolutionary idea or hypothesis has had huge consequences for society. Look at eugenics, where blacks and Jews and people who were thought to be misfits were sterilized or exterminated.
I mean, this isn't a product of atheism specifically, all right? I mean, look at things in Christianity's past. If you talk about the Grand Inquisition in Spain, I mean, there are terrible things that happened on both sides of the board. I don't think it's right to blame all things bad that happened from atheist regimes in the 20th century on just atheism.
Well, and that is right. You cannot make blanket statements, but the political permutations that you're talking about were grounded in an atheistic worldview. All I'm pointing out is that even when you say, well, you know, I'm an atheist, well, an atheist has to believe that nothing created everything, that ultimately life comes from non-life, and that the life that comes from non-life produced morals. That's not just a benign idea that doesn't have consequences. Of course, it has dramatic consequences. It is the difference between believing that you're created in the image of God and accountable to Him, and therefore you have to treat others in the same way you want to be treated yourself. If you hold to your atheism, you are just a function of brain chemistry and genetics, and there is no such thing as right or wrong. In fact, you are fatalistically determined by brain chemistry and genetics.
There's absolute beauty in a world that we live in, all right? The idea that our brains are so complex to create the emotions that we can feel, all these things, it was a product of evolution, all right? Like, there's great beauty and still wonder of life.
Yeah, but if you're fatalistically determined, where is the beauty? Because there is no such thing as right or wrong. You can treat anyone any way you want to.
Without religion, all right?
No, I don't think you're grappling with my arguments. Here's the argument, and you need to grapple with this. If you are an atheist, then you are a function of brain chemistry and genetics. There is no such thing as right or wrong. Your life is fatalistically determined by how you function in the whole process of your fatalistic predeterminism.
Absolutely not. There's still a way that we can have morality.
No, you don't have any free will.
There's still right and wrong.
You don't have any free will.
But there's still morality. We can still make determinations as to whether or not an action is right or wrong.
But it's completely subjective. It's completely subjective. So if you, as an atheist, believe that it is right to kill someone, no one can tell you that is wrong. And if you believe it's right to love someone, and if there's no one that can tell you it's wrong either, you have no objective basis for believing anything. How do you account for morality in the first place?
How can you account for it?
No, how do you account for it?
How do I count it for it? I account for it based on whether or not my actions cause happiness.
No, how did it arise? Where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
Yeah. How did it evolve?
Because as cognizant beings, we have the ability to experience pain or happiness. I'll be a while time.
Okay, but where did you come from?
Where did I come from?
Yeah.
I came from my parents.
Did you ultimately come from a banana, though, through the evolutionary process?
No, I grew, through, if you trace me back to our origins, came way back from, a single-celled organism.
Do you believe in Darwinian evolution?
3 billion years ago.
Do you believe in Darwinian?
I believe in evolution.
Do you believe in Darwinian evolution?
Absolutely.
So you believe that Darwin was right when he said that the Caucasian race had beaten the Turkish Hollow in the struggle for existence, and at no very distant date, an endless number of lower races will be eliminated by higher, more civilized races throughout the world?
Absolutely, all right? It was a brutal process, but as human beings, now we have the cognizant ability to leap outside of those evolutionary bounds. All right, we don't let that dictate our lives. All right, we save the weak.
And now
We're
you are the
compassionate.
arbiter of what is right and what is wrong. As an atheist, you cannot live a moral life. You can if you want to, but you can't account for morality in your life. That's the bottom line. You can live a moral life. You just can't account for where that morality came from.
No, well, I mean, it's accounting for morality based on a book that was written 2,000 years ago isn't necessarily the right way either.
Well,
Right.
it is if you
I'm
can
saying-
demonstrate that the Bible's divine as opposed to merely human in origin. And again, you live in an age of scientific enlightenment. We can build a cumulative case for that. So what you have to do is get rid of the rhetoric, and you have to embrace reason. Remember, we live in an age of scientific enlightenment. Going to have to leave it at that. Good talking to you, Chris. Hope we have another opportunity to speak in the near future.